I have never been a reader. Apart from my academic books, I never found interest in reading. I tried, failed, and gave up. But recently, I realized you don't need to be a bookworm to start. You just need small, gentle steps. So, let me share how I am easing into reading, even as someone who has never been a reader. Why reading felt hard before. So, before even I tried reading, I needed to really understand why it felt hard before and I never found interest in it. So, let me share you a little story. Growing up, my parents encouraged me to read, but to me, reading just meant academic books. And while I enjoyed those, I never explored beyond them. So, what happened is I didn't build a real reading habit. I tried a few times, but I didn't find any interest. So I just gave up and I thought that I'm not just a reader. So when I start introspecting myself now, I clearly find the answers why I couldn't build a reading habit in past. And reason number one is the comparison trap. I used to compare myself with others who love reading books and have built a real reading habit and they actually finished books. So this comparison made me feel even worse about me. And you know what? Comparing yourself with others who is already better at the skill, anything you want to learn, it feels like failing even before trying. And this is the worst, okay? So never do that. Reason number two is starting with random books. What I did then is I started reading with some random storybooks my father had, and I know the stories are really popular, really interesting because they are written by well known authors, but most of the stories were really long. So my interest never built. I also tried reading newspapers, and again I failed because news wasn't an interesting topic to me then. I tried forced reading several times, maybe because my parents were telling me that I'm not reading while others are, and I found myself guilty not reading any book while others are. So again, this is kind of comparison trap and it didn't work for me and I never gained interest to build the reading habit. But something changed recently. I'm now interested in improving myself and I heard almost everyone talked about how certain books changed their life, their perspective of thinking. And that's why I'm getting curious these days to build a real reading habit so that I can get the advantage of my reading and can implement this in my life in real. I remind myself that not being a reader doesn't mean that I can't try reading now. And instead of forcing this time, I'm trying to ease in this reading habit with a few simple steps. And trust me, these simple things made my reading habit way more easier than I thought, and it felt way less overwhelming to read a book not being a reader. And with these simple things, I actually built a simple three-step framework that I'm going to share. So, coming to the step number one, which is choose the right book. I just shared the little story about me, how I failed at reading the most popular storybooks. And why did that happen? So please don't choose what's popular, but choose what interests you. That means choose the topics that never feels boring to you. And not only that, choose short length books first. And you know why I'm telling this? You already know that I did that mistake when I tried reading storybooks. I just picked the popular storybook, Bhumkesh, and started reading a very long story, which is, I guess, 40 to 50 pages long. Though I knew that this kind of detective stories are my interest, still I failed because that was a very long story and I lost my patience. I really felt overwhelmed and I just couldn't finish the story. So, what I did this time is choosing a book of my interest, which is very essential and bare minimum. Because why would someone read a book that doesn't interest him or her? So it's really important to choose a book of your interest. Number two is this time I didn't choose a book where chapters are very long. I mean, like what I said before, the story I started reading was of about 40 to 50 pages long, which is very, very long for a beginner reader to keep interest reading throughout the story. So it's not even possible. That's why I failed. And when you are a beginner reader, this is very important because if the chapters are not very long, you can actually finish the chapters in way less time, and that makes a sense of progress that you are reading the book. And I tried this myself. These are the little wins that keep me coming back to read the book again. And by the way, I will leave the links of the books I have read or currently reading in the description box below in case you want to check them out. So, coming back to the topic, the goal here is not finishing big books because others are reading it, or maybe the books are very popular. I don't deny that. But as a beginner reader, I believe that it's more about enjoying the reading process and make it feel light, just not to make it like another to do. And here is a quick tip from me that I keep reminding myself: if you don't enjoy a book after reading a few pages, then feel free to quit the book. Don't ever try to force read because you are not trying to pressurizing or make yourself overwhelming by reading. You just want to enjoy reading. You just want to keep the reading habit as a part of your self care or self improvement routine, right? So there is no point of making it overwhelming or just pressurizing yourself because you are not enjoying the book. And this simple tip actually made reading way more easier to me when I started reading this time. Still, I wanted to make this reading habit way more easier so that I don't feel it forced anyway. And this brings me to the next step, which is the 5 minute trick. This 5 minute trick could be applied to literally anything, especially the ones you are just trying out or starting out learning. And what you have to do is you have to just commit for 5 minutes. That's absolutely doable for you. You can make it even more easier to you if you want, like for 2 minutes. But I prefer to commit for 5 minutes to get some time to actually understand if I am enjoying this or not. And after 5 minutes are over, if you enjoy, just continue. But if not, stop guilt free. If you have read one page or maybe one paragraph, that progress still counts. Because remember this, even slow progress is still progress. And you don't need to finish a book quickly. Read at your own pace so that it doesn't feel like forced. Otherwise, you are going to lose your interest even before you explore, like I did before. And this simple 5 minute trick removes the pressure of being a reader because you are just committing for 5 minutes. Now, coming to the step number three, which helped me to be consistent with this reading habit. And step number three is what is called habit stacking. So, here is what you have to do: attaching a new habit to something you already do on regular basis. That means it's already your daily habit. And here is why it works. Our brains love routines, and the existing habit act as a trigger. And this reduces the need of willpower or motivation. Because here, what you are trying to do is connecting a new habit to something you already do. And this makes the new habit easier to remember and repeat regularly. And this way, what happens is over time, both habits become linked. So it becomes automatic to do the new habit when you are doing your old regular habit. Let's now take some examples. You already brush your teeth every day. Now, the new habit you are trying to link is having a cup of tea. So, these two habits are connected together. Again, your old habit is finishing work, and the new habit you are trying to link with it is 10 minutes of work. So, again, these two habits are interconnected. So, using this concept, I'm trying to tying my new reading habit on something that I already do. Example, having my evening cup of tea. So, this way, whenever I have my evening cup of tea, I will go reading. And this way, reading naturally fits into my routine and it doesn't feel forced. And also, another problem is solved here, which is that whenever we try to build a new habit, we often forget. And using this concept of habit stacking, we can be consistent with our new habit with ease. Though consistency is important, but this time I decided not to force myself anyway, because I already did this earlier and that made me lose my interest, and also it felt completely forced, which I don't want this time. And this brings me to my next point. I want to really add this bonus tip, which is a gentle reminder that don't punish yourself. If I see my old pattern, what I tried before is, when I tried reading, even I missed a day, I really felt guilty. And that's why I forced myself reading. And that made reading another boring task, another to do. I already tried this pattern and I saw the result, what happened. So, my new approach is I keep reminding myself that I'm trying this new. If for some reason, maybe emotionally or physically, I'm not willing to read, that's okay. I can allow myself to skip reading for that day. And I promised myself to not force read this time. Resting is completely fine. I can allow myself to rest. I also keep reminding myself that if I miss one day or two, that's also okay. That doesn't erase my effort. And I can pick up the habit again without feeling guilty. And I believe building a lifelong habit is way more important than having a perfect streak. So that's how I'm gently starting to build a reading habit, even as someone who have never really been a reader before. And if you are trying this too, I hope it shows you that it doesn't have to be overwhelming, just simple, gentle steps. And if you have any other tips that helped you when you started reading, I would love for you to share them in the comments. It might help someone else too. And if this video encouraged you, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And while you are here, tap on the Mindful Productivity playlist that's on your screen. So it's full of simple shifts to help you feel calmer and more focused. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you there.